So today we're going to talk about intuition and medical intuition, becoming our own medical intuitive. So there are many ways to look at illness. You know, we've all had states of dis-ease and illness. So when we can get to the point where we see illness as a growth opportunity, life will change completely. Because then we're seeing it as something that's happened to actually help us or teach us. So what if every state of disease was curable? Imagine not being afraid of your illness. Imagine being educated about it, but a different type of education than you possibly thought was possible. Imagine having a doctor or being able to choose a doctor or a therapist who could really communicate with you and work with you. You'd be able to keep your power. When you feel empowered about your illness, you'll be able to utilize any form of healing, whether it be allopathic, which is the regular medical community, or alternative. What if you knew a past life, if you believe in that, might be influencing your present condition? You might look at everything differently. What if your former life, meaning your early life, was influencing your present condition? You'd look at everything differently, and this has to do with your illness. So sometimes we feel like we don't have options when we're told we have some serious state of disease. You know, you probably heard it from friends or relatives. It may not have ever happened to you, but you still get the same feeling when you hear it about someone else. If it's something really serious, you might end up becoming like a guinea pig because doctors are practicing. They know so much, and then there's a lot they don't know. And I'm grateful for all different practices, but that's why they're called practices, because they're helping us. And there's so many of us, and we're all different. So we're being experimented on a lot of times with the different treatments that are available. Then fear may step in, as well as depression or anger, because perhaps it feels like there's no solutions or options when you've tried so many things. And then you can't get out of fear of what could happen, fear of what is happening. Perhaps you've heard from your therapist, psychiatrist, or doctor that if you get your mind off your illness, it will help. And they give you exercises to do and thoughts to listen to and positive thinking tapes. And they tell you to do activities that make you feel good. These are all great things to do and thoughts to think. And what happens if they don't work? Are these things going to heal you? Possibly. And that will be awesome if they do. And what if you're not getting better and you're still in pain? And what if you're waiting for someone else to do something to fix you? Because, I mean, we kind of do that. That's how we're brought up. There's always going to be someone that can help us. And what if there was a simple way to begin to heal yourself, along with whatever modality you've chosen, whether it be allopathic or alternative? Not a short way or an easy way, but a simpler way. What if you could learn to trust yourself? When you trust yourself, when you use your own intuition, medical, emotional, spiritual, physical intuition, you're on a journey of self-discovery. And if nothing else has worked that you've tried and you want to get well, you're going to have to try something else. You're going to have to find some new methods. And there are some amazing physicians, alternative health practitioners, therapists that may have information that can help you. And you have to search for them yourself. But how do you do that? Research, calling friends, remembering that when one door closes, another door always seems to open. There are seminars and workshops that teach us to trust ourselves, that teach us to learn to deeply intuit things about ourselves. Because we have all the answers inside. It's just finding the right way for us that will allow them to come to the surface. And then it's our ability to trust them. So listening, learning, and loving your body is one of the ways to understand what's going on in your body. Using your own intuition medical, emotional, and spiritual, is something that you can do yourself, and it opens your mind to alternatives. Using your own intuition teaches you to trust yourself. And the more you trust yourself, the less you doubt. The more you listen, the more you have faith in what you hear for yourself. Intuition means listening to what your body has to tell you. And using your intuition allows you to identify what is the fear that is holding me back. When we trust ourselves, we're willing to see deeper into who we are and what is motivating us. And then we might be able to understand why we have gotten sick in the first place. Now, that's not always the case, but there are possibilities that we haven't explored. What in me keeps allowing sickness to occur, even if they change from one state to the other? And when we can use our own intuition, a lot of times it means that we're going to uncover the root cause of our disease. Now, this could mean that you meet a hypnotherapist, or you meet a psychotherapist, or you meet a person who's had many things, and you listen to them and it starts to stimulate you to do your own work. It can happen in so many ways. When you use your intuition and listen to it, you can begin to understand your past. And when you understand this, you begin to be able to trust your own creativity, what you put together for your own healing, your own decisions about what to do about your state of disease or illness. Loving yourself will help you release the pains of the past. And when you trust your intuition, you'll be able to see more and more clearly for yourself. Now, you might say, oh my God, I don't even have intuition. But that's not true. If you think about the times in your life when you've known things and acted on them, or you knew things and didn't act on them and realized afterwards, oh my God, I heard that, or I felt that, or I knew that. That's your intuition. That's a part of yourself that is bigger than the small self. And when you understand your fears, you can let go of the pain. With your intuition, you'll be able to balance logic and your creativity that doesn't seem logical. A lot of times we feel that, well, this isn't logical, this doesn't make sense, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then you'll be able to actually believe and act on your own dreams. And you'll be able to find and transform where you have energy blocks and what they are. You'll understand how you caused them and learn when to say yes and when to say no. Our intuition is so powerful. It teaches us and can teach us to stop judging ourselves or others. And when we stop judging ourselves, we begin to love ourselves, whether we're right or wrong, whether we've made a mistake or not. We can love the part of ourselves that's scared. We can love the part of ourselves that's angry. We can love the part of ourselves that's judgmental. It'll feel like you're transforming the darkness into light. And intuition will connect us with the right person at the right time. The right person just shows up because of your clarity, and you'll recognize them. Intuition will help you use your fear as a tool and help us to make new, powerful choices. Using our intuition, our body's intuitive awareness, somewhere deep inside of us, we know the truth. And we need to be reminded about the truth about our choices in taking responsibility for our own health. And the truth is that we can be in perfect health. We can overcome all odds. We can choose our way to health. And we can ask as many questions as we want and not feel stupid. We can ask for second, third, and fourth opinions. We can say no to treatments that just don't feel right. We can try alternative treatments that feel good to us. And we can decide which is best for ourselves. So if we knew that the truth was that we have all the answers inside, we might look at our health in a different way. I feel that we wouldn't think that someone else knew more than we do, and could make a better decision than we can, we would be able to learn and trust ourselves to make these decisions. Freedom of mind and health means doing the work. And when we listen to ourselves and are really able to tune in and observe and remember, we can let our bodies and hearts tell us exactly what we need, whether it be allopathic or alternative. So many options are available at this point, and each person is different. So perhaps each person needs a different option. When we work with our bodies, our minds and spirits together as one, it means that there are over 7 billion, because there's over 7 billion of us, possibilities for healing. And each of us may need some slight variation of a technique or a recipe to heal. When we heal our minds, we heal our bodies as well. So how do we begin? Well, one way is learning how to breathe differently. This is just step one, so that we can actually stay calm and deal with the anxiety that fear triggers. This might be a really good first step. So perhaps using yoga or actual breathing techniques like pranayama could be very helpful. Learning to breathe correctly can relax your body and help you to stay focused. It can help you to let go of fear. Remembering how to breathe easily and effortlessly when you're in a state of anxiety by taking either short focused breaths or long slow breaths, relaxing your shoulders, rolling your head, and really not thinking about anything except how to breathe, can almost instantly soothe the body and the physical symptoms of fear. These can help you to master your anxiety. And it takes practice. When we're afraid, we actually feel more pain. For an example, I'm a hypnobirthing teacher, and during birth in the hospital, there's something that they call FTP, or failure to progress, when a labor slows or stops. In hypnobirthing, we change those words for those letters to be called fear that leads to tension that leads to pain. And this is in every cycle of fear. Now, pain can just be pressure or intensity. It can be a lot of different things to people. So using the right breath might mitigate this with you. You just have to experiment and find the right breathing technique for you. And that's available all over, especially on this island. Prayer is another great method to calm anxiety. And learning to breathe correctly when you're not in a state of fear is the practice. You could inhale through your mouth and visualize the oxygen flowing into your chest and downwards through your stomach and legs and out your feet. When you learn to breathe correctly and you're able to trust yourself, and when you do that, you can overcome your fear and you'll be able to control your body a lot more easily. So what's happening with pain? Why do we have pain? Well, every pain in our body is trying to tell us something about ourselves. It's trying to get our attention. And usually, in the beginning, we kind of push it away and think we're stronger than it. And maybe we are. If we don't listen to the early signs, we may have stronger illnesses to deal with. When we trust our intuition, we'll find the right people to help us. And our body will always tell us what we need. We just have to listen with all of our senses. So many times when we listen, we jump to conclusions and overanalyze instead of really listening to our whole intuitive flow. And then fears get in the way and we stop listening, and then we make mistakes with our choices. And then the cycle that we don't trust ourselves again begins. So the first thing to do is to trust your feelings. The second thing is to stop running when you hear something and start listening deeply. Trust your intuition and activate your senses by thinking like a detective. The third step is to listen to which answers lessen the pain that you're feeling. So we have to work with our body, mind, and spirit together. So let's say, for instance, we have to look at the food that we're eating first. For example, you've done your breath work, and now you're looking at, okay, is food affecting me in any way? So first, by seeing what foods help you to stabilize your body, what foods you're eating, and how are they affecting you. Most of us know what it is we're putting in our body and how it's helping or hindering us. And sometimes we just don't want to do anything about it. And other times we need to learn, we need to study, we need to research and experiment. For instance, for myself, I know for the last 4 years, dairy has affected me adversely. I had Lyme disease and got all kinds of allergies because of it. And I hadn't eaten it in a long time. So I just thought, maybe I'm not sensitive. I'm going to experiment. And this is like 3 weeks ago. So a friend of mine had brought over some really amazing cheese, dairy, cow cheese, and I had 3 or 4 pieces. And it tasted so good. And it seemed like everything was fine. And then I went down to work about 30 minutes later, and I'm sitting in a session with a client, and all of a sudden, my nose is running, and I start sneezing. And I think, wow, am I getting a cold? This is so weird. I don't think I am. I don't feel tired. And then I really thought about it and realized with some shock, I don't know why I should be shocked, but these are allergy symptoms that I've had before. And I just tried a new food, hoping I could eat it, and it didn't affect me adversely. So by looking at what it was doing to my body, I knew that wasn't true. So I can choose to eat it again just because it tastes good and have these symptoms, or I can realize that my body is trying to tell me something. So then last week, I'm on the mainland, actually getting on a plane, just before I got on the plane to come home, and I order a cappuccino at a new place in the airport. Hawaiian Airlines has a new gate, and so they have new shops there. And I ordered a cappuccino, and I didn't say almond milk. And I just didn't even think about it. And I got on the plane, and I'm drinking it, and about half an hour later, I start to get a runny nose and start sneezing. And then I realized I had milk in my cappuccino, which seems like such a small amount. But when you're sensitive, you get a reaction. So it can be as simple as this. It's all in how much you're willing to look at yourself and your body and love it so you don't have pain and or suffering. So discipline may become our best friend, and maybe we've never had that before. And looking at why we didn't have discipline before may be something important for us to understand. So what does it take to stop the pain in our body? There's many visualizations and meditations that can release physical pain, unless we really need it to help us identify what's wrong. So imagine what would happen if using visualizations could stop your pain. What does that mean to you? And I'm not talking about acute accident, broken bones, tumors that are active right now. I'm talking about long-term illnesses and pain and things like that. Could it be that our minds are powerful enough to stop pain, powerful enough to heal illnesses? You've heard of people with serious illnesses who were given 3 months to live and passed away right on the date that the doctor gave them. When I was in hypnotherapy school, I heard of a client of one of my teachers who had MS with very severe symptoms. And when her children were in grammar school is when she was having the really bad symptoms. And she begged God to let her live until her children graduated high school. And somehow she went into remission. It was a quite amazing thing to happen at that time. So years later, it's probably 7 years later, she starts to get her symptoms back. And she comes to see my teacher as a client. She did a hypnotherapy session, and she realized this truth for herself, that she had begged God, and she had forgotten this promise to God. And it came forward, and she realized that she had set something up inside herself. Through that realization, she was able to do therapy and go back into remission. One of the things that she understood about herself was that her mind was very powerful. There's so many stories about people who defy death and illness. Why is it that some individuals defy death and illness and others don't? Could it be that they have faith in something else? Perhaps they believe in a higher power. Could it be that they have faith, and this faith in a higher power helps them? Even Carl Jung spoke about the universal intelligence where all information is found. What if you tuned into your fears and limitations and then connected with your faith and your own trust in yourself? What if you accepted yourself? and trusted and believed in yourself? What if you became your own healer? So what are miracles? I think that we just don't realize all the miracles that are happening around us and to us because we just aren't observing and trusting what's happening in our world. Have you ever been angry and frustrated and felt desperate? Have you ever prayed for someone to show up or for a miracle to happen? And then the phone rings, or you go to the store and someone starts talking to you and gives you information about someone or some new technique that leads you to something that will help you. That happened to me yesterday. I sat with two friends of mine and heard these incredible stories about new possibilities for autism and ADHD and ADD and new things that don't have anything to do with drugs. And today I went to my neighbor across the street and was able to tell her some things that might help some people in her life. I mean, I had no idea that was going to happen. So do you realize that you create this in your asking and your desiring help? It's an interesting process to think about how this occurs on a daily, a weekly, or a monthly basis. Your intuition may not only just help you, it may be the instrument for another that makes you that instrument by being in the right place at the right time for someone else. And then you become the miracle worker. It works both ways. As you trust your intuition, you discover how to trust what you feel, and then you find ways to validate these feelings. The more you practice, because this takes practice, this takes observation, this takes deep work. The more you practice and are successful, the more you stop doubting yourself. All of our lives, we all want to be accepted by others. And when we don't listen to ourselves, we take ourselves further and further away from who we really are. And so eventually we're afraid of making the wrong choice, the wrong decision. Using your intuition means you learn to trust your instincts more and doubting less. It's been said that sickness is more than a physical symptom, that illness is a separation from who you really are. What if all of the pain and suffering that we feel on a daily basis wasn't ours? This is a whole nother way of looking at illness, and it may not be yours, but I know it has been other people's. It's important to identify whether fear is yours or another's, and your intuition is the best way to connect with it. Have you ever felt that you were empathic? Well, sometimes people take on the feelings of others and think that they're their own. This may be an interesting way to understand people, and we don't want to take on the feelings of others. Do you feel the pain of others and the memories of others? Sometimes it's smart to put a shield around ourselves energetically so it doesn't have to happen. So, don't assume the fear is always yours. Check it out. Ask yourself who or what is causing your fear. Check in with your intuitive guidance and see why this person, if it's not yours, is having fear. And if you can help them, go ahead. But otherwise, it's not yours to work with. Many times when we're with people that are sensitive, we feel their pain, their emotions, and they might not be ours. And confusion can come when we interrupt our intuition and try to make it fit into some logical situation that we can accept. Could it be possible that we can take on the illnesses of others? This is called psychosomatic. Have you ever been told that your disease is psychosomatic? What if being healthy depended on how fully you understood your body's reaction to people, places, and things? And what if you could heal your body by identifying those patterns? So one way that illness occurs is when we take on someone's pain knowingly or unknowingly. This has happened to me before, and it's not a good thing, and it doesn't feel good because you have to really go into it to realize it's a reaction you're happening because of how you feel or want to take care of someone else. So our body reacts in patterns that we create. So observing ourselves, looking over our past from today backwards or the earliest memory forwards may hold the information on how we can handle our pain, our love, our fear, our joy. When you really look at your history and the result of it in the present, you may be able to see a pattern of emotions and the result that's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And this might help you to understand your past and your patterns. Because I believe that when we understand ourselves and when we can see who we really are, we can begin again to be ourselves, our true selves, and live and love from that place, not from what others want us to do or be. When we can see what truly makes us happy, we can begin again to live our lives trusting ourselves and acting from that place of trust.